Welcome to the website of Biosphere Project. I am Philip van Kerkhoven, author of the site and of the project. I am a visual artist, a painter, draftsman and photographer. But in 2020, after a long period of soul searching, I decided to stop my practice as a visual artist in order to devote myself entirely to the conversions of ecological crises we are already in the midst of. My intention with the Biosphere Project is twofold. On the one hand, I want to help spread the alarm, and on the other hand, I want to help spread new ideas and hopeful visions for our future. So on the one hand, I want to help spread the alarm about the speed with which our habitat, our planet, our biosphere is being lost to us. And the climate crisis is only one aspect of this. Currently the most palpable, the most visible, but like a fever. But a fever is usually indicator of an underlying problem. And that is the case also now. And the underlying problem is that the wider organism of which we are a part, our biosphere, is in its entirety very sick. And this is something that we are doing, we, humanity. And we need to urgently initiate a change of direction in order to prevent worse and in order to enable the healing of this wonderful wider organism of which we are a part. And through that change of direction, we will also be able to create a much better world, a world in which we as a species will be able to exist in a much greater degree of harmony and synergy with the larger organism we are a part of. On the other hand, I want to help spread information about new stories, ideas and views that can help us to change course. And societies and civilizations are largely determined by the story they collectively live in. The story that determines what a society considers real, what is considered meaningful, what is considered desirable or possible. And the story in which we live is sort of like a pair of glasses, which colors everything that we see. And the glasses partly even determine what we can see and what we perceive and what remains outside of our field of vision. So it is very important that we become aware of our glasses, of the filters we are wearing, our often unconscious beliefs that make it that we are currently unable to change course. So a Biosphere Project is not an art project, but a project of sensibilization, of documentation, of discovery, and of sharing. As a visual artist, I was always very interested in perception, of course, and also very interested in stories. I've always been interested in the way in which we collectively construct a worldview, and the way in which that worldview in turn determines and often very much limits our perception. As the quote by Anthony de Mello on the homepage of this site indicates, thoughts can arrange the world in such a way that that world becomes invisible. And in this way, we could say that the crisis we are currently going through are, in effect, a crisis in our worldview. The old story is coming to an end, and a new story is still being born. And the Biosphere Project will be my exploration of the new ideas, which are also often very old ideas, that can help us develop a new way of being, in harmony with the larger organism that we are a part of, the biosphere and the planet. And I will share these ideas in the form of essays, blog posts, videos, on this site, on social media, on the YouTube channel. And I will also share a lot of ideas by other people, by great thinkers, philosophers, artists, visionaries, therapists, people who have done a lot of work already in bringing new ideas and new visions in order to create a new story and a new kind of world. And you are in turn invited to continue sharing those ideas, because we really don't have time to lose, and everything begins with information. Everything we think, everything we do, everything we do not do, everything we feel even, to a large degree depends on the information we get. And mostly the information we really integrate, that we really make our own. It's not enough to take in information at a purely mental level. We really have to assimilate it and integrate it at a much deeper level. And we really have to start feeling much more what is happening. And everyone can play a role in the changes and transitions that are coming. However small that role may be, everyone can be active in some way in order to help spread new ideas and bring about a different kind of world. And so one of the intentions of a Biosphere project is to help inspire other people to start their own initiative or to join existing initiatives. A Biosphere project will be an exploration into the realm of ideas, but also an exploration into the outside world. It is my intention to make journeys to every wind direction in Europe over the next several years or even decades, in order to document the changes that are already underway through photography, travel reports, a blog, and possibly film. Part of the purpose of those trips will be to help document the damage that our biotope and we ourselves are already experiencing from the biosphere crisis, but also to portray the beauty that is still left to us, that we can still cherish and nurture for our children and for future generations, and for all the other species we share our planet with. I also want to portray the pioneers that are already developing new ways of being in this world, that are developing new visions in agriculture, such as regenerative agriculture, new visions in terms of economics, such as the gift economy or degrowth, new approaches to energy, food, transportation, and so on. New forms of community and new stories for a new time. And it will also be an exploration that should go beyond mere ideas and concepts. A part of our problem is that we approach our world and ourselves too much from our cognitive thinking, from reason, from the conceptual identity we continuously identify with. But as Albert Einstein said, no problem can be solved from the level of consciousness that created that problem. So we must go deeper than just our usual thinking, than the rational mind. We have to start feeling again what our place is in the whole, in our beautiful biosphere, and in the cosmos, and in the bigger picture. But we as Westerners are barely aware anymore of what else we are besides this narrow cognitive consciousness that we usually identify with. So that is why the caption to the logo of a Biosphere project is Consciousness and the Living Planet. Ultimately, it is about what is going on inside our consciousness, and how we are conscious and what we are conscious of. Therefore, many of the blog posts, videos, and essays will have as subject what consciousness actually is, because that is one of the really great questions of our time and of all times, really. Who are we? What are we? Why are we here? And the classical answer to that from 19th century philosophy of science is still that our consciousness is a sort of illusion, a byproduct of electrochemical processes in a sort of robot of flesh and blood, which has come into being purely by ruthless competition with other species, and who is really only out to further spread its own genes. But more and more prominent scientists are questioning that vision, based on experimental data and decades of research in diverse domains such as biology, genetics, but also quantum physics and systems theory, and they are beginning to come up with very different answers as to who and what we really are and what we may be doing here. And the new answers that are beginning to emerge are actually very amazing and also very hopeful. And in this respect, we are facing a major shift in our worldview. Sort of like when we found out that the Earth revolves around the Sun instead of the other way around. And to further explore those new ideas will be an important aspect of a Biosphere project for me. For as philosopher Alan Watts put it, I don't think we will be able to change course if we do not change our idea about who we are and what we mean by the word I. Thank you in advance for your attention. I welcome you again to this site. I invite you to explore this site further. You can subscribe to the newsletter and the updates of the blog so you won't miss any new posts. You can follow our Biosphere project on social media and on the YouTube channel. Again, welcome. I hope to see you again soon. And all the best to you.